more time.
Yeah, back at it again.
Zach? I'll meet him after, I guess.
Good morning, everyone. My name is MPP David Smith. I represent a riding of Scarborough Centre, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you. Thank the organizer for inviting me here, and I want to thank all their members, honorary guests, and local officials. I have the honor today to emphasize how significant this groundbreaking is for Scarborough Centre and for the people of Scarborough. Under Premier Ford leadership and the Minister Prabmeet Sarkaria, Minister of Transportation, this subway extension is becoming a reality, a project that will reduce community time, create good jobs, and strengthen the local economy. This is truly a news for Scarborough Centre. I look forward to positive impact in this project will begin for generations to come. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce the Minister of Transportation, the Honourable Prabmeet Sarkaria. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone, and it's great to be here. Thank you to my friend MPP Dave Smith for that kind introduction, and great to be here in Scarborough with exciting news for commuters who are tired of being stuck in traffic. But first, I want to take an opportunity to welcome all of my colleagues that are here today. From the provincial government, we've got Minister Chow, we've got Minister Thanagaslam, as well as Minister Surma, who has been a tireless champion for infrastructure and investments across the province. We're also joined by CEO of Metrolinx, Michael Lindsay, the newly appointed chair for Metrolinx, Nick Simone, as well. We've got many of our councillors from the City of Toronto that are here today, and thank you to Mayor Chow for being here, and Jamal for his leadership on transit. Together we're building a world-class transit system, and it's been a pleasure to work with Mayor Chow to deliver on some of these large projects that we're seeing right here and celebrating. Our government is making historic investments in public transit to make it easier to get Ontarians to get where they're going and to protect Ontario from U.S. tariffs targeting businesses and families across the province. The Scarborough Subway Extension is one of our priority transit projects, and today we are marking a milestone. I'm pleased to announce that we've broken ground on Scarborough Centre Station for the first of 3 stations on the Scarborough Extension. Once complete, this station, located in the vibrant core of Scarborough, will serve more than 10,000 passengers during rush hour and facilitate over 7,000 transfers. Scarborough Centre Station will offer seamless connections to GO Transit and local bus routes, making it easier than ever for people in Toronto's growing East End to take transit. The Scarborough Subway Extension will add 7.8 kilometres of track to the TTC's Line 2 subway, running from Kennedy Station to Steppard Avenue and McCowan Road. The extension will accommodate more than 105,000 daily trips and put 34,000 jobs within a 10-minute walk of a subway station. Construction will support hundreds of good-paying jobs as we deal with economic uncertainty. We're making it easier for people in East Toronto to access jobs and housing. And we're supporting Ontario's workers as we continue to build the Scarborough Subway Extension. Our government knows that investing in public transit is key to drive our economy, fight gridlock, and create jobs. That's why we're investing $70 billion into public transit in every corner of the province as part of the largest transit expansion in Canadian history. This includes the Scarborough Subway Extension, the Ontario Line, the Eglinton Crosstown West Extension, and the Yonge North Subway Extension. These projects will make it easier and faster for people across the GTA to get where they're going and drive economic growth throughout the region, supporting thousands of new good-paying jobs and bolstering our economy in the face of U.S. tariffs and economic uncertainty. We can't control President Trump, but we can invest in and protect Ontario. Today, the future has never looked brighter. And with that said, I'll turn it over to Minister Surma. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. I truly hope that the rain holds off. It's great to join all of you here and celebrate this amazing milestone for the Scarborough Subway extension. Today's groundbreaking announcement brings us one step closer to faster, affordable, and reliable transit. Once this extension is connected to our upgraded transit network, it will become possible to move from Scarborough across the GTA like never before. That means increased opportunities to take jobs, move into a new home, and explore opportunities for fun and education. Our province faces unprecedented challenges and economic uncertainty due to the threat of unwarranted U.S. tariffs. That means it has never been more critical to build infrastructure. We need to keep our province moving and keep Ontario workers employed. And I'm proud that the work to complete tunneling and build the station's rail and systems for this extension will create 3,000 good-paying jobs right here in Scarborough, including union jobs. Thanks to Premier Ford's leadership, we have responded with unity, strength, and a focus on protecting and building Ontario. As we work to deliver the largest transit expansion in Canadian history, we're also seizing the opportunity to build vibrant mixed-use communities across the GTA. I'm pleased to share that we are continuing the planning for Lawrence East transit-oriented community at the future Lawrence and McCowan Station along the future Scarborough Subway extension. This TOC will create over 700 new homes, including affordable units, and will support over 300 jobs with new community, retail, and commercial spaces. The proposed Lawrence East TOC is just one of many complete communities that we're planning across the greater Golden Horseshoe, including along the Scarborough Subway extension. These investments are a part of the most ambitious capital plan in Ontario's history, with more than $200 billion outlined in our budget to build and expand critical infrastructure across the province, including $61 billion in public transit. This 10-year capital plan is an investment in Ontario workers, supporting up to 91,000 jobs annually. That includes nearly 53,000 direct construction jobs and over 38,000 jobs across other industries. And we're building these projects faster and smarter. Congratulations again to everyone involved in reaching today's milestone. I know how important this is to the hardworking people of Scarborough, and I look forward to seeing the next stage of this important project come to life. Thank you so much. Madam Mayor, I believe it's your turn.
Thank you, Minister Surma and Minister Sarkaria. TEC Chair Jamel Myers, local councillor Michael Thompson, all the provincial members of Parliament in Scarborough, TDC CEO and Metrolink CEO. It is wonderful to be here to announce such an excellent news for people in Scarborough. And not just for people in Scarborough, for all the transit riders right across Toronto and the GTA. People in Scarborough deserve better transit. They deserve a TTC that's safe, convenient, affordable, reliable, where they can rely on it to go and to work, to school, or get around, visit friends, run errands. When I first came into the office, the Scarborough RT derailed. Thankfully, no one seriously was injured in that incident, but 5 people were hurt. The RT had to be shut down. It was 10 years past its lifespan. It was not safe anymore. That incident underscores the years of underinvestment in Scarborough Transit. And thank you to the provincial partners, the provincial government and other levels of government. I believe that the transit investment right here in Scarborough, it is so extensive since Premier Ford came on. It was phenomenal amount of investment, but it takes time to build. And after the RT was derailed, thousands of people had to move into buses to get around back on our crowded roads. We painted bus lanes to help people get around faster. We are getting the busway done to save 20 minutes of travel time when that is finished in a year or so. And that is why today's announcement of this subway extension is so important. We need to get rapid transit built here and build it fast. Breaking ground on these new stations get us moving in the right direction. This station will move tens of thousands of people each day, helping them to connect with subway trains, TTC extensive bus network, the GO stations, and it reaches every corner of the city, and some of them will also go to, of course, the GTA. When it is completed, the Scarborough subway extension will move thousands of people every day. Next, of course, we need to build the Eglinton East LRT that will connect more Scarborough neighborhoods. The city is designing the routes right now with 27 stations. It would go from Morningside and back west to Kingston Road. And I hope that we can have that partnership joining with both provincial and federal government to have that kind of expansion in public transit also a reality. For our part, we are investing the largest amount in the history of the TTC in fixing the old TTC infrastructure and improving service. This funds was freed up because of the leadership of the Premier uploading the Gardner and the DVP through the New Deal. We are able to invest $500 million in fixing the TTC infrastructure. We're also making it so that buses, trains, and streetcars can come faster, and we froze fares to keep them affordable. Again, thanks to the New Deal. I'm committed to a faster, safer, and more reliable service to bring more Torontonians into public transit. And with our strong provincial partnership, we can better serve the millions of Torontonians that ride the TTC every day. Thank you, and let's get the construction started. And thank you, by the way, to all the construction workers here, and thank you for creating the future station right here, and thank you for breaking ground with us. Now more than ever, when we have a economic slowdown, we need construction workers employed. We need your good work, and thank you for being here today. Some questions.
We'll now go to questions. If reporters could line up at the microphone behind me, please identify yourselves by name and outlet, and it will be one question, one follow-up. First question.
Hi, Tina Yazdani with City News. Minister, I want to ask you, will the Eglinton Crosstown open by the end of the year? Yes or no, please.
Thank you for the question. I'll ask Michael Lindsay to elaborate on and giving an update with respect to Eglinton. What I can tell you is, our focus has always been on delivering a safe and reliable system. And I know Michael, since he has been put in this position, has done everything he can to get to that position and to be able to ensure that we deliver a system that is going to be safe and reliable for transit users. So I'll ask Michael to just expand upon that. Michael, I'll ask you to come up, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Good morning, everybody. It's an honor to give you an update again on the Eglinton Crosstown, and I consider it my obligation to do it as transparently and deliberately as I possibly can. So forgive me if I repeat myself a little bit from prior answers, but I just want to contextualize again where we are in respect of what we're doing to the system right now, because the answer to your question is we hope yes, and I want to tell you why. So right now where we are is we are engaged in aggressively trial running this system, doing that in close partnership with the TTC. And I just want to salute the dozens of TTC drivers and station attendants and personnel who are already logging in each and every day to put this system through its paces. We've been doing that now for a period of a couple of months. And you'll recall from my prior disclosures that where we hoped to be was at the end of August, we wanted to start a revenue service demonstration test, a 30-day test of the performance of the system that will allow us to say that it was complete and begin to ramp up passenger service. We've seen continued progress in respect of the reliability of the system. Monday was the first day that the system ran in total more than 10,000 kilometers of passenger service, and 20 to 22 trains were moving on the system. But we did not begin RSD the last week of August. We're working now with the TTC dynamically each and every week, and I meet with the CEOs of the companies that are responsible for Eglinton Crosstown every other day to take stock of where progress is in respect particularly of vehicle reliability and availability. And when we're ready to trigger RSD in partnership with the TTC, it'll start that 30-day test, after which, if it passes, we're ultimately going to start to ramp up passenger service. So the target that we had for passenger service in September, unfortunately, is not going to be achieved. But now our new focus is on making sure that hopefully it's just a matter of a couple of weeks before we're starting RSD. And we're working each and every day to bring this service into service as fast as we can, but we have to do it with an eye to reliability. That's the lesson of Ottawa. It's the lesson of the Elizabeth line in the UK. Every jurisdiction around the world needs to rigorously test these systems to make sure that they work out of the box. And as a final note, if I could just say, to the residents of the City of Toronto, whether you're a pedestrian, a cyclist, a motorist, this is a live and operating system now. Please be aware. Trains are moving in significant volumes on these systems, and we want to make sure that everybody is as safe as we possibly can be. So if you are in or around the Eglinton Crosstown alignment, please be aware you are next to a moving transit system. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. And just back to the Scarborough subway extension, do we know what the cost estimate is now?
Well, as has been practice for all of our projects as they are awarded, we make them public to protect the integrity of the bidding process. We do not release beforehand, but you've seen that including construction costs, including land acquisition costs that have been reported to date, we continue to move forward on building this historic project. The people of Scarborough were ignored for far too long. Premier Doug Ford came in with a commitment to build, and that's exactly what we're doing to get this project moving and to get the people of Scarborough moving as well.
Andy Takagi with the Toronto Star. For the Minister, when do you expect Scarborough residents to be able to take the Scarborough subway extension?
Well, look, one of the things that you see here today is obviously groundbreaking of the first station. As we have with all of our projects, we continue to update as the project moves forward through its many phases. We're marking a milestone. I would say today we've got the tunnel boring machine that is doing its work as it is underground. For us, we're doing everything we possibly can to accelerate these projects and get them built as quickly and fastly as possible, given how much of a desire there is, especially in a place like Scarborough, to get these projects off the ground. I'll ask Michael maybe to expand upon some of that as well with respect to how we're continuing to build the project in Scarborough and the speed and pace at which we're doing it. But we're making great progress, and today is a huge milestone in that journey to get Scarborough residents moving.
Thank you, Minister. I'd perhaps only add two things. One is to celebrate the progress that is already happening in connection to the Scarborough subway extension. Delighted to say that the tunnel boring machine is moving at better than 12 meters a day. It's already done more than 2 kilometers of its alignment. This project is coming into being, and you're seeing evidence behind me right now of the piling activity that will start stations. The second thing that I would say is that it is just true to say, and it's not exclusive to Ontario as a jurisdiction, that the world that we live in from a construction and design perspective today is different than the one that we were in 2019. All of our partners are facing real disruption, supply chain disruption, tariffs, elongated construction schedules. The thing that we have done in this jurisdiction to try to mitigate those risks is enter into a different type of approach with our partners. So for instance, the contract we have here on the Scarborough Stations, Rail and Signals contract is a progressive development contract whereby we work quite closely with the counterparty to think about ways to recover timeline associated with projects like this one. as opposed to lump sum fixed price bids that we used to take in this jurisdiction. So conversation is active each and every day with many of the executives who are here with us today about precisely what we can do to hasten service and to ultimately deal with some of the disruptions which are just obviously present in the construction world right now.
If you want to stay there, Michael, I have another question for you.
Yes.
And maybe for the minister as well afterwards, but we've heard a lot about the Eglinton crosstown. Can you give us an update on Finch?
Yes.
And that LRT, and if that'll open this year?
Yes. Another opportunity for me to offer my thanks to Chair Myers, to CEO Mandeep, working with the TTC to bring that service into being too. Big milestone that we hope is going to be achieved this weekend, which is the transfer of control of the Finch system to the Hillcrest facility of the TTC. Same milestone we hit on Eglinton in the summertime, if you'll recall. That system, I think it's fair to say, love that system, but it's a little bit more simplified than Eglinton, right? It essentially runs in a dedicated right-of-way. The signaling technology is more proven. The vehicles are a little bit more simpler. So we actually think that we're going to get ready to cut to RSD on the Finch system in the weeks ahead as well. Hopefully by the end of the calendar month of September, that same 30-day revenue service demonstration test will then be applied, and then the same thing will happen. We'll start to ramp up passenger service. I'll add my standard caveat, which is that is all subject to what we see in respect of the performance of the system. But on Finch, kudos to the team. So far, even the running that we have been doing has involved the full complement of vehicles, and we haven't seen some of the same sort of maintenance and reliability things to fix on Finch that we did on Eglinton. So I'm optimistic and I'm excited because I think both of these LRT projects, which are going to make a huge difference to local communities, we're at the end of this journey now and we're getting close to bringing them both into being.
Hi, Richard Southern, 680 News Radio. Sorry, Mr. Lindsay. Thank you. So September is not happening for the crosstown. What is the new target? I know you can't maybe give a specific date, but what is the new target for opening?
Sir, a two-part answer to the question if I can. The most important target that we have, and I'm sorry if I sound repetitive in respect of this, is to make sure that we have a safe and reliable system. That conditions everything. As I said, since it's not September, now we're hoping it's October. I mean, it really is about week over week looking at what vehicle numbers tell us about the performance of this system, and then in partnership with the TTC, taking the decision to start RSD. Hopefully that test goes well, and then we put passengers in a progressive ramp up on the system.
A follow-up for you, and hoping to hear from the minister on this.
Yes, sir.
And, in all seriousness, why should Torontonians have any confidence that this line will ever open?
Minister, I'll hand to you quite directly, but I will answer the question as a person who has made his career in the infrastructure world. That's what I am, right? Like I'm a major capital projects person. That's my background. And I will tell you that we are doing the things right now in connection to the system that you do immediately before they come online. You do it as a responsible owner. You do it as the lesson to learn the lessons of the Ottawa LRT. There isn't, I would say, the same ambiguity about what has to happen with civil infrastructure or signaling or train control systems. We are literally putting the system through its paces. I would acknowledge that it's frustrating that that's revealing issues that we have to solve, but I'm happy that we're solving those issues now in this trial running period, as opposed to when people are trying to ride this line. So that's my technical answer to the question, sir, and Minister, I would defer to you.
Thank you, Michael. Look, it's disappointing. We're frustrated. There's no question about it. But Michael and his team are working every single day. And as he said, we're right at the finish line on this. And for us, we're not going to release a system that's not safe and reliable. And so I have the full confidence in Michael and his team. They've made incredible progress, and just as he's mentioned in his answer, on the reliability of the system, the maintenance of the system, running almost over 20 trains as of this week. And so it's a very live operational system. And look, building transit's not easy. It wasn't done in this province for a very long time, but we've got shovels in the ground in every single one of our other projects across the province. You know, whether it's Yonge North, Ontario Line, or what we're celebrating here in Scarborough, we are making significant progress when it comes to public transit. And that's thanks to the team behind us, led by Michael and everyone at Metrolinx, everyone at TTC with Mandeep and his team. We're working collaboratively. We're going to get these open, we're going to get it done, and we're going to build for Ontarians and Torontonians.
Hi, Minister. Matthew Bingham from Global News. Could I actually talk to Michael one more time? You're going to hear that a lot today, Michael.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. At your service.
I appreciate, a second ago you said it was a very technical answer for what's holding up the crosstown. I think a lot of Torontonians, a lot of Ontarians would actually appreciate a little bit more of that technicality. What exactly is it? You said it wasn't the signal. Is it what? Like, is it the tracks that aren't working, or is the trains not operating properly? Can you just give a little bit more of a granular answer about what is actually holding this up?
I can do if you promise not to fall asleep if I start to give too much technical
I think people
detail.
would like details.
Yes, sir. Well, then I would say that mostly it's about making sure that vehicles have the right reliability. And for what it's worth, again, I meet every other day with the CEOs of Alstom and the parent organizations of CTS to do a really in-depth deep dive on the root causes associated with what is making vehicles available versus what is taking them out of service. To give you a flavor of what is taking them out of service, I want to stress first, it does not attach to the safety of the system. This is all about whether vehicles can run the kilometers that are intended, right? Whether the systems on those vehicles, whether it be HVAC or some of the communication systems, are functioning at peak operation, and whether, as we operate the system, we see unexpected things like brake wear patterns that weren't forecast that cause these trains to come in for a replacement of brake pads on an interval that's much, much closer together than we thought that they would be. But each and every one of these issues has a root cause assessment that's done with it, has the goodwill of TTC and our private sector partners to identify what we would do to correct and mitigate those types of failures. And as I say, slowly but surely, the vehicles are becoming more available, more reliable. That gives you some of the detail. It's the primary thing that we're fixated on right now, is just the movement of vehicles and making sure that we can keep a sustainable number at peak condition in service for 21 hours a day, which is how long we're running right now.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks.
Still awake.
Still good.
And actually, a question now for the minister. Could I just ask, yesterday the TTC was going over their funding model, basically saying that the long-term funding for the system is unsustainable when that comes to long-term capital projects. Even next year's operating budget, they're basically saying that they need to sit down with your government, maybe even the federal government, and work out a long-term funding structure that really makes it so each year they don't have to keep coming to you saying we need more money. Is that something that you're open to create more stability and really, I guess, end some of those meetings every year?
Well, thank you for the question. We have a great working relationship, myself and Premier Ford, with Mayor Chow and her team. Look, every step of the way, we've been there for the TTC. We've been at the table anytime there's been a need. We've been at the table to have the conversations. In the Ontario New Deal, we've invested over $1.3 billion with respect to supporting the infrastructure needs, and majority of them in TTC, whether it's covering the operating costs for the new lines that will be operational, whether it's the streetcars that are going to be, that we announced just a couple of weeks ago with Mayor Chow, that are going to be built for Line 2, and many of the other supports that we have provided with respect to even projects like Scarborough, the Ontario line. There's no financial commitment by the city from a capital perspective, as we waived many of the state of good repair costs that were needed. So we've always been at the table. We're going to continue to work with Mayor Chow and her team and have those conversations. Premier Ford and our team have always been engaged at every level, every municipality across the province. We never shy away from a conversation, and we want to be good partners as we build for the future. So we'll continue to have those conversations and continue to meet with not only city officials, but Mayor Chow and her team as well.
Hi, Allison Hurst, CTV. Mayor Chow, it's for you. You guys can have a break, maybe.
TDC.
Slightly different. No. What is your reaction to the Forum poll that suggests that you would lose to John Tory and be in a statistical tie with Brad Bradford in head-to-head races next year?
I am focusing on fixing the old infrastructure that I inherited. When I first came into being a mayor 2 years plus ago, I inherited a financial mess. We were $1.8 billion in the hole. It was a huge deficit, and thanks to the leadership of Premier Ford, we signed a new deal, and as a result, we were able to put in the historic investment to TDC, $500 million. So I'm busy improving the services of Toronto, fixing some of the old infrastructure, the potholes and the roads, speeding up the construction and repair of the Gardner, again with a partnership with the provincial government, and building a lot more affordable housing. I came in, there's a job that needs to be done, fixing Toronto, building more housing, keeping people safe, and I'm busy doing that. And as to what's happening next year, end of next year, we shall see.
Are you going to run for mayor next year?
We're still in 2025, and maybe we should focus on opening the RT, getting the TDC running better, more reliable, getting people, when they are coming back to work, consider taking the public transit. TDC is the better way. It is now more reliable and faster. We're increasing services. We've frozen the fares, so there's affordable. So we hope that people will take the TDC. So that's what I'm focusing on right now.
Hi, Jeff Gray, Globe and Mail. It's actually for Michael Lindsay. Sorry, Mayor Chow. And sorry to you too, Michael, in advance.
No.
Just to pick up, clarifying something you just said about the Eglinton line and the technical issues. The cars, is the problem at its root that the cars, some of them are 10 years old and have never carried a passenger yet, or is it an issue with the line and the folks that built the actual tracks in the line? What's the reason for this maintenance problems you're running?
Well, if you permit me, sir, to go a little bit wide to answer a specific question, I promise I will, right? My role here, and indeed the truth of the situation, is not that I'm trying to ascribe or assign blame to any part of the consortium that's building this project. Everybody is working quite hard to bring it into service. It is a vehicle reliability and performance issue. I do think that some of that probably has to do with the fact that the vehicles haven't been exercised yet at full kilometers until this point. But what I would say is, and again, I think the record bears me out on this from geographies around the world that have brought these systems into being, that you see these kinds of maintenance issues in connection to rolling stock with all of these types of transit projects. The very particular technical thing that we're trying to do right now is effectively get the balance of corrective maintenance and preventative maintenance right. Right now, there's too high a number of things that every day calls for a ticket to be associated with a vehicle so that it comes in for corrective maintenance. We want to get back to a place in the weeks ahead where it's far more preventative, far more traditional. So that's my specific answer to the question, and I hope it gets where you wanted to go.
It helps a bit, yeah.
Yes, sir.
But is there a concern if you run into these issues in the coming weeks? Is there a red flag that you have about opening this line in the winter? Is that a deadline you're facing? Do you need to get this open before the winter, or can you open it in the middle of winter?
I would say that there is no hard and fast rule associated with a date that we have to hit in order to put this service into being. You're right, though, sir, and I want to honor the honesty of the question, which is, in a Canadian winter, you need a much more aggressive preventative maintenance regime, particularly with respect to civil infrastructure, right? Condition of rail, condition of stations. That's why I'm pleased that we've already activated the maintenance portion of the contract with the counterparty. Those plans are being developed right now. And again, it gives me one more opportunity to salute the TTC personnel, including the people who get up bright and early every morning and go into stations and think about the performance of that civil infrastructure as well. But the specific answer to your question is, there is no drop-dead date by which we would be in the teeth of a Canadian winter and couldn't think about opening it, but we want to be quite thoughtful about the implications of that.
Clara Pasica, CBC. This question's probably for Minister Sarkaria, but perhaps Minister Surma will want to take it. What can you tell Ontarians that will give them confidence that we're not going to hit issues with the Scarborough line related to the consortium, related to cases moving through the courts, spending tens of thousands of dollars of taxpayer money on these types of issues? What can you tell Ontarians about why this will be different?
Well, I think the most important part is, how we've learned from Eglinton. And I think the proof is right behind us in the way the team at Metrolinx, Minister Surma and her team at Infrastructure Ontario, and Michael was there but previously as well, have innovatively changed the way we procure projects. We're not using the traditional P3 model here. We've got shovels in the ground on every part of the Ontario line. We've got, the tunneling contract that was just given out on Yonge North Subway Extension a couple of weeks ago that we announced. When we look at other projects that we're currently, the Eglinton West Extension, we've divvied that project up into multiple phases with construction and tunneling completed and ongoing as we speak. And so what I can tell you is we've learned a lot from Eglinton. And previously there was not much transit built in a city like Toronto. So it's challenging, it's difficult, but what I can tell you is we're taking those learnings and we're applying them across every one of our projects. And the proof is literally, we're standing before it today, is getting these projects off the ground, shovels in the ground in various parts to ensure that we're getting transit built. I'll ask Minister Surma to elaborate as well with respect to some of the innovation on procurement.
Thank you very much, and I'll reference some of the comments that Michael Lindsay said. Luckily for us, he was with us at IO until Minister Sarkaria poached him. But much of it has to do with the fact that we're not doing things in the old traditional way of contracts. We're focusing very much a lot of our new contracts on progressive development, where we have a 12 to 18 month window, where we literally sit down and we speak to the proponents and we go through every single project detail and then finally hopefully get to a target price or a fixed price towards the end. This is not something that's been done in the past. It's a more collaborative approach where everyone comes together, and we're doing that. We're also making sure that the dispute resolution process is more efficient and that when there is an issue, it comes to government. I cannot swear to the public that you will not find issues when you are building tunnels under the ground or building big projects, but we are making those improvements. And then, now that we are building so much transit all at once, we're gathering that expertise. We now have teams here in Ontario that have a lot of experience expanding a subway system, building highways, and all of that expertise will benefit us in the future as we continue to expand the subway system, continue to build transit, and continue to build other infrastructure across the province.
And my follow-up for Minister Sarkaria. So at the beginning of this press conference, all of you guys leaned really, really hard into how we need to sort of create more Ontario jobs. Will you be directing Metrolinx in any way to only hire Ontario workers? We know that the topic of temporary foreign workers and other things really charged right now. Will there be any sort of direction to who gets these jobs?
Well, I think the team at Metrolinx and many of the workers that you see behind us here today are a direct result of our program to invest in Ontario. Absolutely, we expect that those jobs are Canadian jobs, Ontario jobs, and something that Metrolinx has done. Every one of our projects, if you look at it, they're all Canadian workers. They're Ontario, for the most part, Ontario-based workers, and they're supporting thousands and thousands of jobs. I think this Scarborough project is going to support over 3,000 Canadian jobs. So when it comes to procurement policy, we're just in a summit hosted by Minister Freeland a couple of days ago, where we furthered that commitment to take it to steel, aluminum that is used in many of these projects. And so as we procure, absolutely, that's the expectation, and that's what we hope will happen with respect to, not hope, but we expect to happen with regards to projects like this.
This will be the last reporter.
Oh, hi, it's Colin DeMello from Global News. I first have a question for Mr. Lindsay, if you don't mind. Mr. Sarkaria, you'll be exercised in just a moment. Mr. Lindsay, I wanted to ask about what you guys are promising Ontarians once this line is open. You're spending a lot of time now ironing out all the kinks, making sure that when it does open, it'll be as perfect as possible. Are you promising perfection with the Eglinton Crosstown LRT when it opens, that once it opens, it will never close as a result of all of the work that you're taking now?
Yes, we're promising a safe and reliable service. That's exactly right. And again, we're working closely with the TTC to think about a progressive ramp up of passenger service that not only will help us with the final stage of exercising this system, right? Because when you put passengers on it, you find new needs in respective maintenance, particularly for station infrastructure, but a level of service out of the box that also ties to the TTC's plans about switching at Yonge Station, intersections with GO Transit and UpX at Mount Dennis. So the answer to your question is yes. We're going to make sure that this system is reliable when it opens and that the level of service that it provides is never clawed back.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And to Minister Sarkaria, so you know by now that Ontarians are quite annoyed about the fact that the Eglinton LRT has been under construction and has not opened for this long. Do you feel like the people who live along Eglinton, the business owners and the people who've been waiting to ride this, are they owed an apology from the Ontario government?
Well, look, it's frustrating. Absolutely. There's no argument about that. The construction, the delays, but look, we're committed to building a system that is going to be safe and reliable. That is what, as the Minister of Transportation, working with Michael Lindsay and the team at Metrolinx, that we want to deliver, is something that is safe and it's something that we're confident that when people are on, will be reliable for them as they build. Look, we're going to build across the province. We're going to build across Toronto, and we're going to continue to ensure that we're investing in public transit and getting these projects built. There's challenges along the way. There's no doubt about it. And there's frustration, there are delays, we will definitely get through that and make sure we have a world-class transit system.
But no apologies. To be clear, no apologies, though, from your government to the people of Ontario.
Look, there's obviously a lot of frustration. There's a lot of disappointment, and I don't disagree with that. But we're going to deliver a system that is going to work for the people of this province and for the city. And we're going to do that with every one of our projects. We're not going to cut any corners on safety or reliability. And so as the project moves forward, and as Michael updated us today, that is our key focus as we move forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.